welcome to NWA and Beyond, your real estate podcast. We're here today with Haley Campbell, who is basically all things operations for Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. She carries many roles, and we're going to go through some of those today. Haley, glad you came to join us.
Yeah, thanks you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I always see you as the captain in the engine room, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for everything you do, for sure.
Yes, of course.
Great to have you today.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
So, Haley, why don't you start off by sharing just kind of like how you got in the real estate business? You're an agent first, and then kind of how that moved into what you're doing today.
Yeah, so I'm kind of, what do they call it in sorority houses? I guess a legacy. My mom, Haley Campbell, has been with Brandon and Carter for 20 years now. Hope she doesn't get mad that I'm sharing her age, but 20 years now. And so I kind of grew up in the real estate world. I knew eventually I'd want to get into it. So I did in 2017 is when I started our then LCP program. So I went through that training program for 6 months, finished that, and then sold for about 3 years. Then I moved kind of onto my mom's team, helped her do some things there. And then
when you were working on your mom's team, what all were you doing?
So I sold for about 2 years of that, and then 1 year I was her closing coordinator. So I did all that back end fun stuff, paperwork, helped her manage her team.
Sweet.
And then I decided, maybe that her shadow is big. She's great at what she does, but kind of wanted to get out of it. So I approached you and Brandon and said, hey, I think I'd like to try out marketing. So I joined the marketing department in 2020. Took over the department in 21, and then I've just been building ever since.
Sweet. So let's talk about the marketing department first. So what does that look like today for Weichert Griffin? I mean, tell us about who's on your team, what everybody does, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's myself, Emily, and Lori. We're all full-time, and then we have 2 part-time girls, Abby and Madden, that help us out right now. Our team is incredible. We love our jobs. We love being here. As far as our agents go, pretty much everything you see out there comes from us, whether it's flyers, postcards, car magnets, fridge magnets, anything that our agents put their, real estate information on typically comes from our office. And then, of course, the company stuff that you see as well.
That's awesome. You also created an app for our agents, which is pretty incredible.
Thank you. Yeah,
tell me a little bit more about the app.
Yeah, so my thought whenever I took over was just like, how can we streamline this? And, my other famous quote that I say all the time is, if there's a problem, there's a process. So if there's a problem, there's always a process that's got to be to kind of fix it or make it better. So we run everything in our marketing department off of an app or a website. So our agents just go in, they select which button applies to their needs, they fill out a Google form, comes to us in our back-end system, we knock it out. Our turnaround time is no longer than 24 hours typically, which is really awesome for our agents, especially in this market. But yeah, it all comes to us. There isn't no, but there's fewer back and forth or, hey, can you add this? Because when our agent fills out those forms, we get all the information we need to execute that task.
That's awesome. What are some of the things that keep you the busiest in the marketing department on a regular basis? Like I'm sure flyers and all that stuff that takes agents forever to make. Y'all are churning them out for them. But what is some of the things that occupy a lot of time in the marketing team?
So we spend a lot of time, like you said, on those flyers. We do all open house materials for our agents. Those usually take us a little bit, most of Wednesday to get through. Our bigger timeline projects are sometimes commercial, vacant land, because we always do renderings with those, or we do, one of our agents just has a big vacant property right now. And we actually built out a subdivision to put into that vacant land just to show our buyers like what it could be. 3D renderings, those take us a little bit, and then really diving into our agents. So how they want to be marketed, how they want their business to be known in this industry. And we always, when we bring someone on, we have like a first meeting is usually an hour long. We talk branding, we talk their aesthetic, so that whenever they do fill out that form for us, we already know what to expect for them. We go through fonts, we go through colors, we go through headshots.
So they're just spending one time with you, and they kind of get the look that they want, the feel that they want. So moving forward, your team knows exactly how they want it to look going on.
Yep, exactly. And that really helps. Our whole goal and why we have such an incredible and robust marketing team is so that our agents can focus on slinging real estate. We want to do all the back end stuff for them so they can focus on their business and what makes them money.
Yeah, when we talk to people all the time that are thinking about making the move to us, like the thing that we often talk about, Russell, right, is our job as a brokerage is to save you time and money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what your team does on the marketing side is the biggest time saver that most agents have. If you're a sales-minded mentality, you're usually not a designer at the same time, or they're getting in Canva and spending 5 hours to make a flyer that they could fill out a form and send it to you, and it magically appears 24 hours. I tell people that all the time when I'm talking to them. I'm like, I don't know how it happens. You just fill it out on Google Sheets, and it magically comes back, right?
Yeah. And it's not even, of course, it's all about real estate, but it's also, like, we have an agent doing a networking event here in the next couple weeks. We also do all materials for that. So if they're have a booth somewhere, going to some parade or something, and they need what we call swag, we make sure that we get that to them as well.
So for you personally, in your role and all the things you do, what do you consider a win at the end of the work week?
What would be considered a win? I mean, of course, I mentally track agent satisfaction. To me, a win is, like, I want to be the reason that someone comes and why they don't leave. So anything that I can do that, we talk about in our industry that we want our realtors to be top of mind. Well, I want my department to be top of mind, that they feel like I can't really go anywhere because we have a Haley, we have an Emily, we have a Lori, we have all these people that just amplify my business. So I think any type of acknowledgement in that, and just seeing our agents grow. So a big thing that we're doing right now is our AI training on Thursdays. And my win is probably every week comes from that. We'll be in those classes. We'll do something in our in-house CRM, and then we get a response from that. And, like, that's a huge win. They come up to me saying, hey, by the way, I did that thing from AI, and now I have 3 clients from it. And I'm like, okay, that's like a trackable win.
Yeah, I love that.
I was raised by a single mom, so I already have, like, a pretty strong work ethic. So I, track that internally, and being good at my job is obviously a win, but
yeah, I absolutely see that, because you and I call, text, email early and late, and we talk about agents in a good light of, like, how can we help them more, and hey, I've got this idea, you think it's cool if I run it by them. And so I know that your heart and your mind is kind of always on, how do I help another agent, which is just incredible, to have that in a human being. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all you do, for sure.
We've stolen the AI training. When we started this thing, we got on and we made a gym that I had no idea what it was until we did the AI training about how to push it out and how to, what kind of questions to ask and all that kind of stuff. So it was all based out of the AI training that we kind of learned that from.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that, if there's an agent out there listening about our marketing department and what you do on that side, and then we'll dive into some other stuff, but just on the marketing side, what is the biggest thing that you think an outside agent could hear from you that goes, man, that'd be a cool tool to have, and a reminder to our agents that are listening to this that, hey, we got this. Don't forget about it.
I think something that we focus on in our department is just, like, staying on the trends. So obviously AI is changing every day. Marketing's, kind of in the same realm, but changing a lot of how you do it and what you do. So it's one thing to have a marketing department. To me, it's another thing to have one that's, like, in it. It's in it every day. We talked about a win. Yes. Like, all of my girls, we, like, care about your success. And it's, important as you're coming in on as a new agent that you also don't have to come up with the ideas. Like, that's why we're here. I have so many agents a week saying, like, I just need to be better, and I don't really know where I need to go. Well, no problem. Here's a roadmap for you. And you as an agent not having to think about that, and then one step further, not having to execute that. One of the big things that we offer, too, is a month of social media. All you have to do is fill out a form, and we'll send you an entire month of social media content, especially for my newer agents. That's huge. Yeah. Getting involved in that aspect of marketing. And like I said, we do pretty much everything for our agents. So if you're thinking, I don't have enough time to prospect, well, that's probably because you're spending your time on
Other
marketing.
things, right?
Yeah. When really that should be the only time that you're spending on, prospecting is the most important. So
Goals to get face-to-face with buyers and sellers,
right.
So you said something just then that you kind of built a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
So let's lean into the technology and training piece.
Yeah.
You kind of led into it right there. So let's see, we're in 26. So in all of 24, basically, you spent a ton of time. This is where it comes into Haley's All Things Operations.
Yes.
It's not marketing. It's not technology. It's just Haley's just operations.
Yep.
So it was basically all of 24. We spent a bunch of time figuring out how to build a training module. So you and me and Brandon sat down and we were going through and we were talking about the problem is we're doing all our training live, right? So it was every Tuesday, every Thursday. Well, if somebody came over from another company or started brand new, it might be 3 months before they get back to that training module. So we started the Yellow Brick Road and TYC Tools to kind of give us that roadmap for agents to walk in the door and say, I know where I'm going. I don't have to come ask Russell, come ask Haley, come ask Carter, come ask Brandon, whoever. I just have to go on here and look at it. So how did that come about? And tell me about the formation of that, because I think when you look at it, it's amazing, but
Right.
you don't know all the work that went into the back of it to make it into existence, which is a lot.
It's a lot. So like you said, we took all of our in-person training and made it digital. And, we all take our real estate test. We get out of the class. We got our test or our license. And we're like, yeah, well, maybe you need to know it, but how many feet are in an acre doesn't really tell you how to make money. So you get out of there and you don't know how to prospect. You don't even know what a CRM is. You don't know how to fill out a contract. And so what we've done is we've put that all in a training course that you can move through at your own pace. So everything's digital. There's 9 stages within the Yellow Brick Road, and it starts at the very top, learning about who we are as a corporate, and then who we are as a franchise. Then you dive into our CRM. So that's my Weichert, powered by Bold Trail, and you learn all of the basics, and then you go one step further in the next stage. You learn a little bit more about prospecting through there, setting up campaigns, doing search alerts. Move into our awesome open house program, and then you finish out stages 5 through 9 are all contracts and forms. So you go through the buyer's side, then you go through the seller's side. At the end of every single one of our stages, you have a touch base with either myself or Patsy, who helps us out with our training. And so you're learning it all on your own pace, but you still have that very important feature of getting face-to-face with someone who knows. So then you can ask all your questions. I make sure you know how to set up a Facebook page. I make sure you have all of your profiles set up, your Google business page, those things matter in our industry. Then we go through, we role play the buyer's agreement. We role play a contract. We ask questions. I make sure that you have fully retained it before you hold an open house, because, we all want a buyer to walk in and say, yep, I'm ready to buy this. And you're not like,
what do I do now?
Actually, I've never even seen this. So, our agents are holding open houses and able to write contracts that same day. And, us as managers, we're always here to answer questions. But I think we're just empowering our people a lot sooner than we were, and empowering them to hit the ground running in a business where you have to.
Yeah, I agree. I think we offer so much from a corporate standpoint and franchise and just our local culture and all those things. But I think it's easy for agents to forget, oh man, we have this. And so by going through TYC, either repeating the training or just seeing it brand new, it's like, I can't believe they offer so much to me as an agent to go make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps me sometimes where I'm like, how can I help this agent? And I could dig into TYC and I'm like, oh yeah, here's the module that I needed to, continue to help them with their career.
And also when agents are coming and asking you questions, they're different now that we have TYC, aren't they?
There's it's so much more advanced. Rather than where do I get a contract, it's like, hey, this one section, is this the right wording? Is this legal? Is this good? It's a lot. It's moved our culture up, I would say.
And I think too, we, instead of just like sending them off to this course, it's very intentional with what we're doing. So throughout the course, they complete assignments that come back to me. They have downloadable materials that they keep with them. And to your point, whenever we rolled this out, I was overwhelmed by the response with already existing agents, where they were like, wow, this has been great, a great refresher, a great thing on our CRM, a great way to go back and kind of go back to the basics. If your business is slowing down, you're able to go back in there and be like, okay, what checkbox have I not checked in the last 6 months? How can I take this to the next level?
And one of the best things that's in there that I think is like sometimes overlooked or not even understood how important it is, and I know Brandon just did this, basically in January, is he went through, and we go through every single contract line by line and how to fill it out and what's there and what's not there. And I have agents that have been in the business for 10 years, and we'll have a conversation, and they'll pop in there and go watch one of those. Just a refresher. Just the contracts are changing every year, and that's part of why Arkansas contracts are the least litigated. But the fact that you can go in there and Brandon's walking through them line by line to make sure you can explain them to the customer the best, I think that's amazing. And that's one of the things that people enjoy more than anything, just being able to get in there and walk through a contract. So,
and you talked about tangible wins earlier. So we launched this January 7th of 2025. We had an agent, our very first agent that went through it in Fort Smith. She was under contract on $1 million+ property in February. So, we had that timeline of when agents were producing. We've increased that by months at this point, and it works. All of our agents are producing a lot sooner, and I think the quality is there. We don't hear the rumblings of our industry that our agents don't know how to fill out a contract, because they do, and they learn it quick.
That's good. All right, sidebar.
Yeah.
Do you have a podcast, or do you have a book that's like revolutionized your world? Or
We're actually
she
just
reads a
talking
million
about
books a week.
I do. I read so much. Right now it's top of mind because I'm listening to it. Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
That's good.
I mean, I have a full page on my phone of notes dedicated to
And it's
it.
the greatest audiobook ever.
Yeah, and as a
Matthew's
woman,
reading it.
It's a great way to start your morning, ladies. I'm just saying, it's a great way to get started. I'm like,
With
wow.
Matthew talking to you.
Yeah, it's just whispering in your ear. I'm like, this is great. And it makes me want to run through a wall. Like,
Yes.
I'm like, let's go do this. One of the things that I talked about in our sales meeting yesterday is he said less impressed and more involved. And so that's kind of the mindset I'm taking into our AI trainings right now is like, yeah, we can all sit back and say, wow, that's so cool. And like, wow, I can't believe this does this. But be less impressed by the system and be more involved with it. And then you're going to be just as impressed with yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
I heard a training. I think both of y'all were there recently, and the overall arch of the training was be addicted to the process. And when I thought about the process of all of it, especially in real estate, I thought, Haley Campbell was who came. Like you are addicted to the process of. How do we make it better? The AI training, I've gone to another AI training recently, and I'm like, this Haley's is so much better.
We've already learned this.
Yeah, it was a little bit elementary, because it's like you're so far advanced on like what you said something about keeping up with the trend. It's almost like you're the trendsetter. You know what's coming. I don't know how you do that, but you apply that, and it's interesting to me because you don't harbor that. You're like, let me get it down in all my agents' heads and into their fingers so they can start using it immediately. And I know even yesterday, you and I spent some time on some stuff, and it was like just your ability to go, here's the problem. I don't know the solution, but I'm going to chase it down with all gusto. And like you said, kind of run through a brick wall of whatever. And it's just inspiring from many angles to see somebody do that and go, okay, I want to be like that. I want to take a piece of her and be like that,
Thank
so,
you.
yeah, thanks for leading that charge for sure.
I learned pretty early on when I was very young, it's okay to not have the answer. Like, I say it all the time. I don't know, but I'll find out. And I like being that person that finds out.
It's this
a control
world,
freak.
isn't it? That's everything that we do in this world is I don't know, but I'll find out.
Yeah.
Let's jump into kind of your other role.
Okay.
It's office generated leads,
Yes.
right? So about how many years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we started office generated leads program where the company's creating lead opportunities for our agents. We're bringing in leads from a million different sources, and then we're kind of filtering them out and passing them down to our agents. The thought process from a company's standpoint is the faster we can get agents to a transaction, the more effective they are. It's a good boost for the business. It's nothing, office generated leads are nothing anybody's going to make a career out of,
Right.
but it's the icing on the cake, right? So it's the opportunity for them to get a new client, have a closing, start meeting everybody in their sphere, growing their business off of that, all that sort of thing. So when you took over the office generated leads, what have you seen out of that? Where are we getting lead sources right now?
Okay. So, like you said, how I start my conversation with the leads is, it's not the reason you're going to dinner, but it's the reason you're getting an appetizer. Never hurts to have a little bit extra. And what we've done that we've seen great success with is work it into TYC tools. So, like I said, there's 9 stages. At the end of stage 7, because they've gone through all of their buyer paperwork and half of their seller, they sit down and talk with me about joining the leads team. More often than not, they join the leads team. So it helps me kind of on 2 fronts. So it helps our agents getting production sooner, and then it helps me on my leads team keeping people hungry. So especially new agents, they come in, they're ready to call, they're ready to have those conversations, and that's what it takes to be on the leads team.
That's what it takes to be successful.
Right, exactly. Yeah, people answer your phone. Okay,
Yeah.
It matters.
Answer your phone and pick up the phone.
Yes, and one of the stats that we always throw out there is a lead isn't converted or even talked to sometimes until the 5th through 12th contact. So it takes a lot of that. Our main sources right now, we do really good with our organic leads. So generating those just off of the marketing that we have out there in our area. And then Zillow is a big one for us too.
And that's a newer one for us. I mean,
Yes.
we didn't do Zillow for many years, and then we kind of jumped back on it about 2 years ago, and it's really picked up some steam.
Yeah, it's done really well. And they've kind of shifted how they're doing leads now. So it's a much more equitable opportunity for us, being, that we have so many offices and different MLSs and states even. So it's definitely a more equitable opportunity for us there. We do a tiered system. So you start out on tier 1. Once you close 6 on tier 1, then you move to tier 2, which is a little bit of a higher split. Tier 2, you get the benefit of having seller leads as well, which almost always convert. Whenever they come in as a seller lead on company leads, our conversion rate on those is very, very high. We do a monthly Google Meet meeting, so we just touch base, talk about any objections that you faced, that you overcame, what's working for you, what isn't working for you. Obviously, whenever the change came about, the buyer's agreement, so we tackled that, and now it was a big, scary conversation at first, and now it's so seamless, and half of those ideas came from the leads team and how they were approaching that first contact.
That's really good.
And it's really good.
It's interesting you talk about the buyer conversation that everybody's having now. And we've been filling out an exclusive buyer agency agreement since I started in the business. So it wasn't any big shift for us as a company, but I think it's definitely different for a lot of people that were just flying out there. But that was good.
Yeah, it was definitely comforting, and hearing from them saying and me just having to be like, hey guys, nothing changes for us.
Right.
We've done this for
this is exactly how we've done
a long time.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, no problem. But it's just fun listening to them. And like I said, they're always hungry. And it's really good for our newer agents to get those conversations happening so early from when they start with this. Because, I have people go through and get to stage 7 2 weeks after joining us.
That's amazing. I mean,
which
to
is
think
incredible.
To think about where our training was, right? Where it's like, you got to come Tuesday and Thursday, basically for 3 months.
Right.
To get through where stage 7 is now. And you have to time it right.
Right.
The way we were set up on our training, you had to time it right. You had to come into the business at the right day to catch all these trainings in order. And now you've made it seamless for them. And thank you.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It's been a big game changer from where we were to where we are today. Agreed.
Yeah. So on top of all that, especially the training and the details. So, like for somebody joining Weichert Griffin today, what's one operational habit they should adopt immediately to ensure long-term grind and success and all those things? Like what's a daily habit you think most agents, potential agents coming into the business need to take on?
I think I have 2.
Yeah, bring it.
Come to the office. Nothing can replace office time. So I talk about it now all the time in Bentonville. We had an influx of new agents, and they came to the office every day. And the amount of real estate conversations that were being had in our office just made everybody better. And you learned so much. We have so many great experienced agents here that just walk around on the phone, and you listen to them engage, and all the managers are here, and you can easily ask questions. Just because we're independent contractors doesn't mean we, hit the golf course every day. So get to the office. It's very, very beneficial. And then my other one is follow-up. So, you grind to get this conversation, and then you don't call them back for 3 days, or then you just leave them stale for, 15 contacts, and it's never going to be successful. So whether it's open house people, whether it's someone that you ran into at Walmart, whether it's whoever, your grandma even, to stay top of mind in this industry is so important, because we are, pretty saturated with licensed people, and continue to follow up and make those phone calls.
Consistency,
Yes.
consistency, right?
Yes.
For sure. All right. So when you're not running operations, where's your favorite place to spend a Saturday? In
On the
Northwest
golf
Arkansas?
course.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah. Yep. I'm a big golfer. I love being outside. I grew up golfing. My dad managed golf courses growing up, so I got into it at a young age. Like to golf, and then anything sports. I'm pretty sporty.
Yeah,
so.
I knew you were a sports fan. I didn't know you played golf, though. That's cool.
I do. Yep. We have playing a Thursday scramble at the creek, so
Nice.
every Thursday.
There you go.
Yep.
That's good.
I'm hoping to run in Matthew McConaughey there one day. He's a golfer. I'm like, well, hello.
That's awesome.
Well, awesome. Well, Haley, thank you so much for
Yes,
your time
of
today.
course.
Thank you for sitting down with us and going over all the things that you do for
Yeah.
Weichert Griffin, and we appreciate you so much. And looking forward to continuing doing this. I'm sure we'll have you on again
Yeah.
as time goes on, talking about something new, something different as we go. But we appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.